I'm Dave, welcome to a news break. Decided to just take a break from the studio and get out a little bit of fresh air before going back in and doing some more editing and filmmaking. So I thought I'd get out. Sun's actually managed to come out. It's nice and warm. Noise you can hear in the background, it's the sea, I'm afraid. Can't stop it. We'll try and filter as much out as possible. And nice blue skies. So where are we? Now we're just going to have a look now at some more of the Q3 2024 results, because the figures are now coming in. They don't all come in on day one. There's some companies that do, and I know I mentioned Tesla a lot, but they're very, very automated. They have a computerized system for buying and selling and ordering and everything. And so at the end of the quarter, it literally for them is a push button. Yeah, they just need to account for the last few cars on a ship or something, and they've got the figures instantly. Others, they have to sit down and work them out, and that's just the way it is. But two new ones have come out, and that's BMW and Mercedes. And both of them are not producing a very good picture at all. Both of them show a real drop in Q3, in pretty much everything. If we have a look at them, BMW overall for the quarter is just down 13%. Everything they do, totally top, it's down 13% on the similar quarter last year, year on year. Mercedes, not so bad, 3%, but it's still a drop at a time they would like to be expanding. But if we start looking into some of the figures, actually where they're doing well, where they're not doing well, if we look at BMW, the China sales, massive 30% drop. People in China, I'm afraid to say, have just stopped buying BMW EVs. Now, BMW EV is doing very well in Europe, doing very well in the UK, and they're doing quite well in America as well. They actually make quite a good car. They got quite a good reputation. They've done an awful lot to try and boost that side of it. They actually recognise that's the future. So BMW is 13% down overall sales, 30% down on China. That's all cars, not just EVs or ICE. But the EVs are up 10%. Now, I know it's a smaller base, but it is actually showing growth. And that really needs to tell BMW something, that if you want to grow, you can't do the ICE, you can't do the hybrids. You've really got to be doing EVs. That's where the growth is. When you look at other companies like BYD, like Tesla, like NIO, like XPeng, like Geely, it's all the growth is in the EV side of the business. So that's BMW. Going over to Mercedes, they, as I said, they're down 3% overall, which is not the end of the world, a bit disappointing. But their sales of Mercedes into China is down 15%. So this is actually quite a massive drop for them. They, up until now, have been doing very well with what they call the prestige cars. These are the S-Class and the top-of-the-range C-Class and some of the other GL classes. And they've been really, really holding up the company. But recently what's happened is China has virtually gone EV. They are not buying any more petrol cars of any sort. It's not something against Mercedes, it's just against petrol. They're also not buying hybrids. They don't see that as a sensible answer. Over here, we seem to see that as a stopgap to help us get towards EVs. It isn't. But in China, they've just stopped buying petrol cars. They're thinking that for this quarter in China, this last quarter, so it's October, November, December, that they're going to see a time of 100% EV sales. The only cars they will sell for this quarter, this month, next month, the month after, will only be EVs. That's it. No petrol, no hybrids. The hybrid sales in China have just been falling off a cliff. The petrol one's long since gone. And this really is setting the trend for the future. The problem is that Europe doesn't want EVs to be the future. And I can understand that. They've got a big legacy, a big history, and they want to keep that going as long as they can. The problem is that China, up until recently, had 40% of the world's market. 40% of all the cars sold in the world were sold in China. So if in Europe someone wants to make petrol or hybrids, all of a sudden 40% of the world market has gone. It's absolutely totally gone because China is only buying EVs. And if you don't do EVs, like Toyota, then you haven't got a market at all. So their market is disappearing. If you look in the UK, it's nearly 20% of the new car sales are now EVs. So 20% of the UK market has disappeared to EVs. And so all around the world, you're finding that the ICE market is shrinking. The hybrid market is shrinking. Just out of interest, the reason for the hybrid, people were so worried about all the negative press and media about cars running out, batteries flat, needing to be replaced, etc., that they all of them just piled into hybrid, said, oh, well, at least we got a petrol engine if the battery does go bust in 2 years' time, or if we run out on a dark country lane after 64 miles of motoring. So this was self-inflicted from the media. The media has just killed our what would have been a really good EV market by trying to destroy it to protect the ICE industry. Hasn't worked. ICE industry is doomed. It is going downhill rapidly. Next item, you'll find out another one. So you can't keep it going, as people like Kodak find out many years ago, Kodak film with digital cameras, and also Nokia mobile phones when smartphones came out. Technology moves on. People move on. You know, how many of us today go into a post office and buy stamps over the counter? Well, how many of us actually post a letter? Think about it. When was the last time you went and posted a letter? They virtually don't happen anymore. Everything we do now, it's all done on a mobile phone or a tablet or a laptop. And so we've just got this convenience, this modern technology, which does everything. If you want a cup of coffee, go on your phone, select one, and an Uber driver in an EV will come and deliver it for you within 10, 20 minutes. It's what we're doing. And the old-fashioned ways of doing things, like the ICE cars, they are now old-fashioned, they're outdated, but there are still people clinging on to them. And there's nothing we can do to change them. The market's going to carry on changing. EVs are growing. No matter what people say, EVs are growing. They will take over one day. We just have this interim period where there are not enough cheap EVs on the market, new, to be able to attract a massive audience at the bottom end of the budget in the 15, 20, 25,000 pound range. And that means there's not enough cheaper cars coming onto the market, second-hand EVs, at the 10 to 15,000 range. Nowhere near enough. Cars coming in are pretty much snapped up and going out straight away. There's some dealers won't touch them. That's fine. They don't understand the market and they keep away from it. That's absolutely fine. But the specialist companies who are involved heavily in taking in, buying and selling EVs, they're doing really quite well. So, Mercedes EVs, down 31%. 31%. We saw BMW 10% rise in EVs, Mercedes 31% drop in the sale of EVs. And that's a massive figure. And it really comes down to the cars that they're offering. In my opinion, the Mercedes they're offering are just exactly the same as the petrol cars. They've got the same seats, the same body, the same floor, the same carpet, same dashboard. Virtually everything is exactly the same. All they've got is a bit of a screen on it to say this is an EV, and you get batteries instead of an engine and a petrol car. And for the privilege, you pay an extra £20,000 for the same car that you could get with a petrol or hybrid engine in it. And they wonder why they're not selling. So, some big changes coming, and it means there's going to be an awful lot of business plans having to be changed. BMW seem to be on a bit of a roll with EVs, and they're doing quite well. Mercedes, absolute disaster. There's no point in keeping that going if they're not going to sell in any of them. So there's big changes coming. The latest change is going to be Stellantis. And this is probably as close to a total collapse as anything you'll ever see at the moment. But there's big rumours going around, big newspaper articles and financial articles saying Carlos Tavares, the CEO, is on his way out. He's only got a year left, but they want to get rid of him now. And so what's he done? Well, he's just announced a massive management shake-up to try and solve all of Stellantis' problems. And my thinking on that one is, well, why didn't he do it a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago? Why didn't he do it all when he was in a strong position and had control of everything and things were going passably smoothly? And this now smacks a little bit of desperation. If I could do a management change, maybe the board will give me another year to see if it works. So I see it just purely selfish. He wants to get a bit more money out of it, a bit more bonus, a bit more dividends, a bit more shares before he actually gets kicked out. Don't anticipate him being here at Christmas. And I'm not entirely sure that Stellantis isn't going to be the first of the legacy autos that's just going to collapse. Doesn't mean that the individual companies will collapse, because it's made up of things like Fiat and Citroën, Ram, Jeep. There's a load of about 13, 14 different companies. And those are not just going to fall apart. Some of them have actually valid working factories which are producing cars, and some of those are actually producing cars that people want. So if you look at something like the Citroën C1, Citroën C3, these are petrol versions. They're going to keep going. Citroën EC3, that's proving to be a bit of a popular car. So there's an awful lot happening, and it's just a case of Stellantis itself, the overall umbrella, is likely to just collapse, and all the companies will just be left for themselves. And obviously within that, some of them are just going to go to the wall virtually instantly without the support from Stellantis and the support Stellantis gets from the various governments. So some of those companies are going to collapse. So 2025 is going to be a big year for legacy auto. There's going to be an awful lot of change, some quite unexpected results coming through. But for the moment, has Carlos Tavares done enough to keep his job? Absolutely not. He's got no chance of doing that. He's on his way out. He's just desperately trying to hang on. Let's see how long he lasts. Anyway, that's it for now. Sun's getting a bit hot. Might need to get a bit more suntan lotion on. So for now, that's it. Thank you very much for watching. If you've enjoyed this, as usual, please click the like button. Just lets us know we're on the right track. If you'd like to see more, click the subscribe button, and that will allow us to notify you every time we launch a video. And for those who would like to support the channel more, have a look at our Patreon members. They get lots of goodies as part of that membership. So thanks very much to everyone who watches, who subscribes, who comments, who likes, or becomes a member. Every one of you is valuable to us. I'm Dave.